What if I told you there was a place where the laws of physics didn't seem to work? A place where compasses go haywire, shadows move on their own, and reports of disappearances defy logical explanation. These places exist, and they're scarier than any horror story you've ever heard. What happens in them defies science, baffles experts, and haunts those who dare to venture. But why doesn't anyone talk about these places? Why, in some cases, do governments try to hide their existence? Some say they are portals to other dimensions. Others believe that hidden forces inhabit these spaces. The truth is that these mysterious places continue to defy our understanding, and today, you will discover them. Imagine walking through a forest where the feeling of being watched is so intense that even scientists refuse to stay the night, or visit an island where hundreds of hanging dolls seem to whisper your name in the wind. What if you walked into an abandoned hotel with no electricity, but saw lights flashing and doors slamming without explanation? These stories are not just legends. They have been documented, and the stories are true. And the scariest thing? Some of these places are still active. People disappear. Witnesses report unexplained phenomena, and to this day, no one has found a definitive explanation for the mysteries that surround them. What's behind these stories? Collective illusion? Unknown energies? Or are we dealing with something much more disturbing? Today, I'm going to take you on a journey through some of the most mysterious places in the world. Places where fear is palpable, where time seems to distort, and where whoever enters may never leave the same. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show you a scary detail about one of those places that could change everything you think about the world. But before revealing these scary places, tell me one thing. Are you really prepared to discover mysteries that science cannot explain? Because what comes next could completely change the way you see the world around you. There are places where time seems to freeze, where visitors report strange sensations and even experienced researchers refuse to return. If you've made it this far, it means your curiosity has already been aroused. But here's a warning. Some of these places hold secrets so dark that many prefer to pretend they don't exist. Now, just imagine, what if one of them is closer to you than you think? And since we're diving deep into these unexplained riddles, don't leave it for later. If you love mysteries, abandoned places, and stories that defy logic, leave your like below. This not only helps the channel, but also ensures that more people discover these disturbing reports. And of course, subscribe so you don't miss the next videos, because believe me, this is just the beginning. Imagine you are walking through a dense forest, shrouded in thick fog that appears alive, moving as if trying to hide something. The absolute silence is unsettling, and the only thing you can hear are your own footsteps on the damp earth. But then, a crack resounds through the trees. Your heart races. You stop, hold your breath, look around. Nothing. Not a soul alive. But the feeling of being watched grows every second, as if something invisible is there watching you. What if I told you that this place exists? That it is not just a legend, but one of the most enigmatic places on the planet? The Hoia-Baciu Forest in Romania, known as the Bermuda Triangle of Transylvania, is one of the most haunted places in the world. People who enter it report unexplained symptoms: dizziness, nausea, skin burns, and an intense feeling of dread. Cameras fail, compasses spin out of control, and in some cases, visitors disappear without a trace. There are reports of strange lights in the sky, voices whispering in the wind, and shadows moving among the trees. And the scary thing is that this is just the beginning. There are other equally mysterious places, perhaps even more disturbing than Hoia-Baciu. Cursed islands, hotels where no one can spend the night, ghost towns abandoned without explanation. But before revealing these places, tell me, would you have the courage to enter this forest alone at night? Comment here and stay with me, because now we're going to discover places that will give you goosebumps. After discovering the frightening Hoia-Baciu Forest, you might think that nothing else would be capable of causing so much discomfort and mystery. But what if I told you there was a place where hundreds of empty eyes seem to watch every step you took? A place where the only company you have are dolls hanging from trees, thrown in the wind, some with no arms, no legs, some with eyes gouged out, and others that seem to smile in a disturbing way. This is the Doll Island in Mexico, one of the most enigmatic and macabre places in the world. Legend has it that a man named Don Julian Santana decided to live on this isolated island, far from civilization, but he soon realized he was not alone. He began to hear whispers in the forest, feel strange presences, and one day found the body of a girl floating in the waters surrounding the island. Scared, he believed that this child's spirit haunted the place, so he began hanging dolls in all the trees as a way to appease the entity. However, instead of solving the problem, reports of supernatural manifestations became even more frequent. Visitors to the island say that as they pass by, they have felt their dolls change position, turn their heads on their own, and even wink at those approaching. The most bizarre thing about this story? Don Julian was found dead in the same place where decades before he said he had found the girl's body. It was as if something had been waiting all this time to collect its debt. But if you think dolls are scary, wait until you see a place where desert sand completely swallowed an entire city. Kolmanskop, in Namibia, was once a prosperous diamond mining center. At the beginning of the 20th century, adventurers and investors flocked to this place in search of riches, building luxurious mansions, a theater, a hospital, and even a school. But suddenly, without any plausible explanation, the city was abandoned. The few who stayed said they heard voices calling their names in the middle of the night, figures passing through the windows of empty houses, and footsteps echoing through the deserted streets. Today, Kolmanskop is practically buried under desert sand. Their houses, still furnished, seem frozen in time, as if the residents had left in a hurry and never returned. The wind whistles between the buildings, carrying with it what some believe to be the laments of the souls that still wander there. Some visitors say that when they entered the old houses, they felt a weight in their chest, as if they were being watched. Others say they heard the sound of footsteps coming from empty rooms. But perhaps nothing compares to the terror of Aokigahara Haunted Hotel in Japan. Located inside the macabre suicide forest, this hotel was built to host those who needed a rest before making the darkest decision of their lives. However, staff reported inexplicable occurrences. Guests entering rooms and simply disappearing, footsteps echoing through uninhabited hallways, and, strangest of all, rooms that remained immaculately tidy, even after someone had slept there, as if time inside that place simply didn't pass. Legends say that the souls of those who departed in that forest still haunt the hotel, unable to find rest. And the most disturbing story is that of a tourist who, while staying there, heard insistent knocking on his door in the early hours of the morning. When it opened, there was no one there, but in the hallway, the light flickered and a shadow seemed to fall on the wall. Terrified, he decided to leave the next morning, but the strangest thing happened when he took out his camera to look at the photos from the trip. Among the records, there was an image that he didn't remember taking. In it, you could see the hotel corridor, and, in the background, a dark figure, standing looking directly into the lens. If you think these mysteries are disturbing, wait until you see one of the most macabre places on the planet, Poveglia Island, Italy. This place has such a dark history that entry is prohibited by the government. During the Black Death, thousands of victims of the disease were sent to this island, where they died alone and were buried in mass graves. Over time, the place became a kind of deposit of souls, and many believe that the negative energy never left there. Years later, Poveglia turned into a psychiatric hospital, where patients were subjected to cruel experiments. The doctor responsible for these practices ended up going crazy and, according to legend, threw himself from the hospital's main tower, saying that voices were chasing him. Since then, the island has remained abandoned, but reports of apparitions, screams in the middle of the night, and whispers coming from the walls are frequent. Some fishermen passing near the island say they heard calls coming from the darkness, as if something was trying to attract them there. What makes these places so scary? Are they just coincidences? Or is there really something inexplicable going on? And most importantly, would you have the courage to visit any of them? If so, which one would you face first? Write in the comments: forest, dolls, ghost town, hotel, or forbidden island. I want to know which of these mysteries gave you the most goosebumps. What really happens in these places? Are we dealing with supernatural manifestations, or is there an even darker explanation? Something that science and history try to hide? Witnesses report unexplained sounds, shadows moving without anyone being there, and even physical sensations such as goosebumps and shortness of breath. The scary thing is that when we dig deeper, we find patterns. Places where death happened tragically, where strange energies seem to accumulate, where time seems to act differently. Imagine walking into one of these places and feeling a change in the environment, as if something is watching you. The most terrifying stories come not just from curious tourists, but from researchers who spent entire nights studying these phenomena and came away with more questions than answers. An explorer, while visiting Poveglia Island, described a feeling of intense pressure in his chest, as if invisible hands were trying to stop him from moving forward. A group of investigators who spent the night at the Aokigahara Hotel reported hearing voices murmuring in Japanese in the empty hallways, calling names no one knew. In the ghost town of Kolmanskop, a lone photographer captured what appeared to be a figure in one of the windows of an abandoned house. When comparing it with other images taken at the same angle minutes, before he realized that the figure simply disappeared. Are we witnessing paranormal phenomena or something much worse? Something that challenges our understanding, that changes our perception of reality, and that perhaps should never be discovered. And now I ask you, if you were in these places and felt something watching you, would you stay to find out what it was, or would you run away? What we saw today is just the tip of the iceberg. But what if I told you that there are even more disturbing places, where science refuses to investigate and the reports are so frightening that few dare talk about them? Places that seem to defy all laws of reality, where people disappear without explanation, and where something seems to wait patiently for those who dare to enter. If the Hoia-Baciu Forest has left you uneasy, if the Isle of Dolls has sent a shiver down your spine, and if the Aokigahara Hotel seems like an impossible nightmare to be real, then get ready, because there are even darker mysteries waiting to be revealed. There are entire cities where the lights turn on by themselves even without electricity, cursed islands where no one can step on without feeling uncontrollable terror, and ancient structures where symbols engraved on the wall suggest that something much older than we imagine was there before humanity. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You are part of the select group of people who truly love mysteries and haunted places. But now I want to know, which of these places gave you the most goosebumps? Comment below, I would survive, if you think you would have the courage to visit one of these places, or never would I, if not for a second you would step foot in these macabre places. And if this video made you curious to discover more mysteries that defy logic, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell, because in the next video, I will show you even more disturbing places. And believe me, you won't want to miss it. Oh, and of course, if you made it to the end, leave a like because it helps me bring more dark content like this. Now if you think you've seen everything, click on the next video that appears on the screen. Are you ready? So see you there.